Hello, friends. Welcome to the show. This episode of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer podcast is brought to you by Magnum BI. Magnum BI is teamed with Solution Systems, who is a Microsoft Gold Enterprise Resource Planning, Silver Small and Midmarket Cloud Solutions, and Silver ISV Partner to bring your data to life and solve your issues with Microsoft Power BI. This podcast is also brought to you by Solution Systems IT Department, who can in only 1/2 hour make your Office 365 more secure by configuring your activity alerts. Where else can you make your Office 365 more secure in only half an hour? With all of the issues today with ransomware and other cybersecurity attacks, it just makes sense to be as secure as possible within your digital world. So we're here for segment 1 of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer. Here with Ken Sebahar, as usual, and I've got a little surprise for him with the beer this week. I'm going to let him pick one out and drink it, and as he's drinking it, I'll tell you a little bit about what he's drinking.
Hey Michael, how you doing? Glad to be here again joining you. New kind of format today. We're going with the surprise option here, so I have no idea what you're unwrapping here. Went with a surprise.
So we've got 6 different beers this time.
6 different beers.
Yes.
All right.
All different kinds. Only one that somebody's probably familiar with, which would be the old, not this one, but everybody kind of knows Shock Top.
Okay.
The pause.
So what we have here, so we can go through here. We have.
Go through them all?
We have, yeah. So first I grabbed Two Brothers Wobble, which is an India Pale Ale, huh?
Correct.
Okay, so Two Brothers is in Warrenville, Illinois. So that's close to us here in the Chicago area.
Yeah. We've got an O'Fallon Wheat, which is a peach wheat beer from O'Fallon's brewery, which we'll talk more in depth about the ones that we actually picked to drink. I've got some stats and
so
and
you
all
went,
that.
okay, so that's a peach wheat
Peach
beer.
wheat, yeah.
All right.
Sorry, it looks like it does have a pumpkin on it, though.
Oh yeah,
for some
kind of
reason.
does. Maybe it's a peach.
Yeah.
So then I have here a Breckenridge Brewery, and this is an oatmeal stout, rich, soft, and dark roasted.
Yes.
Sounds actually pretty good.
Actually, it's high ratings. And then I've picked up the Shock Top, which is a Belgian white. Very popular. Most people know Shock Top or have heard of it at least.
Belgian white. Okay. I'm going to go with this one here. So then we have Marathon Brewing Company, 26.2 brew.
26.2.
26.2, the number of miles in a marathon.
It was actually
I know
made
that.
by runners for runners.
Ale, brewed with sea salt and coriander added.
If you can believe a beer is brewed for runners.
Interesting.
And the final one is a 8-ball stout. It's from Lost Coast Brewery. Let's see here. It displays a chocolate brown head with aromas of roasted barley. So, a couple other things.
Right.
I figured I'd mix it up a little bit for this segment.
All right.
Which one you going with?
Well, I'm not going to go with the Two Brothers Wobble because I have had that.
Oh, have you?
And that's right in my wheelhouse.
Oh, is it?
I like
Is it pretty good?
Oh yeah, I like it. It's an India Pale Ale. It's local.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with that. So I'm not going to go with that. The stout sounds good. So if we end up going maybe 2 beers today, I may go with one of those next. But because I am a runner, I'm going to go with the Marathon Brewing Company.
Nice.
So I want to hear a little bit more about this.
All right.
This beer here.
Well, I'm going to actually have to go. I'll tell you what. I'll try this O'Fallon Wheat.
The Wheat.
Wheat, yeah.
Okay.
So Ken's going to crank open the 26.2 beer, which its parent company brewery is the Boston Beer Company who actually makes it. A branch of it is called the Marathon Brewing Company.
The Boston Beer Company? Is that Samuel Adams?
Yep, exactly, same one. So this is the Boston Marathon official beer. So Boston Beer Company has a branch called the Marathon Brewing Company, which is what makes this. And this golden wheat ale is brewed with Himalayan salt and finishes with a touch of coriander for the ultimate refreshment. Shelley Smith, a brewer, a marathon runner, developed D26.2 brew out of her passion to help anyone celebrate with the most refreshing beer possible after running. So it's a little bit more of a light beer, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Because you're running and you're tired and...
It is. I can taste a little bit of the salt
Yeah.
in there. It does have like a salty flavor. I wish I could pick up and tell you about the coriander that's been added in there. But it kind of just tastes like a beer.
A light beer or?
Just like a regular kind of beer, lager.
Is it good?
It is.
Yeah?
It is good.
Something you would drink and buy on a...
Yeah, you know what? The salt, so a friend of mine a long time ago taught me this little trick that, if you're drinking beer, you can actually just take a salt shaker and just tip a little salt in the beer. Kind of gives it a little bit more flavor to it. So occasionally I'll do that if I'm out somewhere with just kind of a regular beer. I'll take a little bit of salt and put it in there.
Yeah.
So that's something I kind of enjoy doing sometimes anyway. So, but this
good tip.
Comes one less step for me to do if I'm drinking this.
So, I got a quick did you know too. So did you know that the average person drinks 23 gallons of beer every year, according to Lost Coast Brewery?
So how many gallons do I drink then?
If it's average. So I guess I must be the average one at 23 gallons, since I'm just a regular beer drinker every now and then. Nothing too crazy. All right, the beer that I chose is from the O'Fallon Brewery, which is a regional craft brewery that began in O'Fallon, Missouri, on St. Patrick's Day in 2000. In June 2015, the brewery moved into a huge 40,000 square foot facility in Maryland Heights, and their goal is to brew balanced craft beers that focus on good ingredients and local collaborations. I would say that this peach wheat beer, surprisingly, is actually really good. For some reason, though, maybe it's my taste buds, I get more of an orange taste to it than a peach taste. Maybe because I've never
taste
had
the
peach before.
here. Let me just take a quick smell.
Try it.
Oh yeah, I can smell the peach.
It's pretty good.
I can smell it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I was kind of worried because when I researched this company has pumpkins all over their website, and it kind of worried me that everything's infused with pumpkins, but it's not. So it's a clean wheat beer, touch of peach. It's light, it's refreshing, it's crisp, I guess. It's actually really good for any summer occasion.
There you go.
I'm going to actually rate it pretty high, probably.
So as we're sitting here, I'm doing a little research. It's 26.2 brew. Light wheat ale, right, as you mentioned. It's only 4% alcohol by volume, so it's relatively low. 120 calories, 0 grams of sugars.
Really?
That's what it says on the website. So.
How many carbs, though? Same thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, this is pretty good. I'm gonna enjoy this as we kick back here and go through a shot of Business Central.
Yep.
Talk about a feature of Business Central, and then an app spotlight.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, we've got a lot to bring you.
So we have a jam-packed agenda here. So
as we enjoy some good beer.
Let's get into it.
All right, we're back for our second segment, which is the shot part of Business Central and the beer. And now that we've had some time to drink a little bit of this beer, I think it's only fair that we give it a rating, because that's what we do. So, Ken, with your 26.2, what are you giving it a rating as?
I'm going to give it a 75. We'll go
75?
with 75. I was going to go 72.5, but 75. For me, I'm enjoying it as I'm drinking it. I don't think I could drink a lot of it because it definitely, I can taste that salt in there, the salty flavor of it.
So is it one of those beers where... Go on, I'm sorry.
It's just, yeah, so I mean, if I'm reaching for a beer and I'm having one, for sure I'd have it, but it's not the type of thing I would go grab and
drink,
have a lot of them. Yeah.
Not too bad. All right, for mine, the O'Fallon Weech, surprisingly, I like it a lot, and I'm going to give it a pretty high rating here of 88. It's smooth for summer drink, an 88. My rating would drop in winter just because it's not a winter drink.
Peach beer.
So,
There you
it's
go.
a peach beer. Yeah, who knew? All right, so shot at Business Central. I know Ken has some updates from last month and whatnot, and a couple new things that happened.
Yeah, so we have several shots of Business Central that we're going to go through today.
More than merrier.
And, I thought I want to start with just a very quick recap of our last month's shot segment, only because we did talk about some significant announcements. What we announced what we talked about last podcast was the 2019 Release Wave 2 plan, which is Microsoft's document that they released that describes all of the new features and functionality that's going to be added to Business Central with the October 2019 release that's coming out. And specifically, we shared the link where you can download that document, and the key dates is June 10th is when that document was released. August 2nd, so around now, is when there is early access available. And then the general availability date begins October 1st. And the only reason I'm kind of being a little bit vague and hedging around those dates is that Microsoft phases out or rolls out these updates.
Right.
So my guess is that sometime during August, users will be able to log into Business Central, create a new sandbox environment that includes the new preview of these new features.
Yeah, and I actually just read too where, to speak upon that, is when they say August 1st or October 1st, that they actually mean the entire month.
Right.
It's not a hard date, so it's not going to happen for everybody on that date.
Yeah, and it could be that some features are available early in that month and other features are then added later as well. And the other announced kind of key thing we talked about is, so what's in this, October 2019 Release Wave 2? Well, they came up with 5 main pillars around where they're improving the product. The first is the focus on the service, which will improve performance, reliability, supportability, and security. The modern client, which is the user interface. The modern developer tools, in which we announced the discontinuation of the classic Seaside development environment.
Yeah.
ISV acceleration, so working to streamline the path to move more ISV add-on solutions to the cloud as apps. And then lastly, customer migration tools. So improvements to the tools that are used to move existing NAV, GP, and SL customers into Business Central Cloud.
Very nice.
So, in terms of this month, so kind of moving forward, a couple announcements and news and notes that have been released during the month of July. The first is kind of a simple one, but it's that there are some old Business Central online URLs that were created months and months ago, maybe over a year ago, before the formal release of Business Central. And these old URLs had financials included in the name. If you've been using those URLs, Microsoft has been quietly just automatically redirecting you to the new businesscentral.dynamics.com URL. But effective September 1st, they will no longer be redirecting you.
Wow.
So it may be that users have a support issue where all of a sudden their shortcut that they have bookmarked or saved as a favorite in their browser no longer works.
It's not going to work, So now what you have to do is you just type in home.dynamics.com on your browser, and it'll automatically take you to your Business Central page.
Yep. Okay. Another new piece of news is that the Dynamics mobile apps for both NAV and Business Central have been updated. So this was announced July 26th. And so basically these are the mobile apps that run on your phone or your tablet device, your iOS or Android, or Windows 10 if you're using the device as a Windows 10 app. So they've just continued to make improvements to it as phones and devices and apps go through security updates and things. Microsoft needs to update these apps. So if you are using the Dynamics NAV app or you're using the Dynamics 365 Business Central mobile app, then you can just go to your Apple's App Store or Google Play or Microsoft and download the newest version of the app.
Because you're unsure whether or not they're pushing out the updates automatically through the App Store like they do with all your other apps right now.
Right.
So we just don't know.
So the best bet is just to go and run an update from the App Store. You can update the app from there, and then you'll get the latest version of that. And that will resolve some, some issues, consistency and performance improvements.
And stuff,
So that will be help there. Okay. Next thing is that, we've seen some support issues from customers where they report a message that says something along the lines of, you do not have permissions for X or Y. And so what I want to clarify here is just that there are and this is from Microsoft clarifying this too, is that there are really two types of permissions when you see these messages. The first are what are called entitlements.
Okay.
And so think about an entitlement is really, what are you as a user licensed for? Are you a Business Central Essentials user or a premium user?
Okay.
Have you been, are you an Office 365 user, Power BI user, right?
Right.
So,
Power Apps,
so you could be in Business Central and try to do something and get one of these permissions errors. That is, it's because of your entitlements or your licenses that you've been assigned by Microsoft or through your partner.
You're just not licensed for it, okay?
Right.
So then permissions would be?
And then there are specific permissions. And so it could be that you are entitled to it. You're a premium user with Power BI and Office 365, and you're entitled to everything.
Yeah.
But then you log in as a user and you try to run a report and it says you do not have permission to run this report. Those are what are called permission sets. And those are managed per user within Business Central.
Right.
So you actually can, your administrator can log in and say, okay, well, Michael, he needs access to customers and he needs access to sales orders, but I do not want him looking at purchase orders or financial statements.
Right.
So you could go in and assign various permission sets to Michael, and therefore that would restrict what he can do once he's logged in.
Now, can you build custom permission sets too?
You can.
Okay.
Correct.
So you're not just limited to what's out of the box.
Yeah, there are a large number of out-of-the-box permission sets that you can assign. So something like create customers or edit customers. Those are existing ones.
Right.
But yeah, you definitely can go in, you could build your own and put whatever permissions you want. And those can get really granular.
Yeah.
Down to the individual page or report or process.
And you can even build groups, correct, to have certain permission sets assigned to the group.
Right.
And add people to the group.
Yeah, so if you have, let's say you have 8 people in your customer service department, customer service reps, you would create a permission group and you assign all those permission sets to that permission group. Then when you hire someone new as a customer service rep, all you do is put them in that group and they now inherit all of those permissions that are assigned to the group.
So it cuts back a little bit of setup time.
Right. Yep. So just wanted to specify this difference. If users may hear these terms, entitlements versus permissions.
Right.
So just wanted to kind of explain that.
And if you can't get in Business Central, call us.
You call your call your partner and they'll help you, or diagnose what that error really means.
Yeah.
Okay, so turning the page here. So another announcement from Microsoft on July 17th was that Power BI content packs are being discontinued. So what you used to be able to do is for both NAV and Business Central, Microsoft had published Power BI content packs. And you could then use these as a starting point or just as your
because they came with
reports.
Pre-built dashboards and that pulled in from your information from whatever ERP you're using.
Exactly. So this announcement basically says that Because of a number of known issues that have been reported in with Business Central, these content packs are no longer supported. They've been removed from the PowerBI.com site, and they've actually been replaced with Power BI apps.
That's pretty big and all sounds good so far.
Right. Power BI apps they function in the same way as a content pack.
Yeah.
Right? So the app it basically has the connections and the dashboard and the reports similar to what the content packs have.
So what's the difference then?
The only difference, Michael, is that you must have a Power BI Pro license to install a Power BI app.
That's a shame because the Power BI free license for Microsoft is pretty good in my opinion. I mean, it's robust. It has a lot of features. So
Right. Now, once the app is installed, it can be shared with any user regardless of license.
Oh, really?
So you don't have to all be Power BI Pro users.
Just see the dashboards you created. You can share.
Yeah, and for those,
That's interesting.
If we could take a brief segue just to confirm, there are multiple price points for Power BI.
Mm-hmm.
There is a free version. You can just go to PowerBI.com, create a free account, and start using it. Then there's Power BI Pro, which is $9.99 per user per month.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the version that we would recommend for any of our Business Central clients to use. It has some security features built in. The performance is better than the free version.
You're allowed to share things which are not on the free version.
Correct. There are restrictions in who you can share it with also.
Within your company.
Within your domain. And then there is a enterprise level Power BI license also that you can get.
Which I believe is it $25,000 a year? Yeah.
I think it's $25,000 a year. That's for heavy duty companies, huge data processing. You need more horsepower.
Right.
Behind them.
Unlimited refresh rates and everything. Yeah.
So what this is saying is that you need at least, if you're going to use these Power BI apps that are created for Business Central, you will need at least one Power BI Pro license, which again, it sounds bad, but what we tell people is if you're going to be using Power BI more than what's just there out of the box, you should have a pro license anyway.
Especially if it's more than one person in your organization using it.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
And then I want to wrap up the shot of Business Central with just one more note. And by the way, there is a very nice Business Central community site.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're unfamiliar with that, you can just Bing search Business Central Community. It takes you to the URL. I think it's something like community.dynamics.com/business or Business Central or whatever. And there are updates, news articles, documentation, videos.
Nice. We'll post a link to it.
A lot of stuff up there. And one of the things they've actually published on July 10th, they published new apps that were released to AppSource for Business Central in June. So we weren't able to get this into our last podcast.
Right.
But I wanted to kind of go through. So I have 2 months of new apps to go through.
Okay.
Based on this July 10th announcement, there were 33 new Business Central apps published to AppSource during June.
Wow.
We're not going to go through all of them. Some of them are country specific, but a few that I think caught my eye which is an app that was developed by Microsoft, is send remittance advice by email. So what this is if you're doing paying vendors in the payment journal, you can email and resend remittance advices from the payment journal or from vendor ledger entries. This is important because as more companies switch to electronic payments, they're electronically routing the money into the bank is into the appropriate bank accounts, but the vendor maybe doesn't know exactly what are the invoices being paid and how much. So this now allows you to send to the vendors a remittance advice that says, hey, I'm paying you this much money and these are the invoices I'm paying and how much I'm paying against it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if something like that could also almost be set up with Microsoft Flow. I don't know. It's interesting.
I'll bet you could.
Yeah.
Couple more just to point out here that caught my eye. There's one called multi-entity management, which allows you to consolidate many business transactions into one. So that kind of caught my eye. There is a finance month-end activities dashboard, which provides a quick glance at outstanding month-end activities for finance teams.
The multi-entity one is kind of interesting. I wonder if it is fully integrated and adds an entire different page to Business Central or whatnot. I know you haven't tried it yet, so yeah. I'm just wondering. I'm thinking out loud.
Thinking out loud. That's good. I hear the gears grinding from over here.
Yeah.
There are two apps from a company called Folio 3, which are integrations for e-commerce solutions. So there's a Shopify integration connector and a WooCommerce integration connector. So this allows you to integrate your Shopify or WooCommerce stores with Business Central. So more and more people are doing business online, right?
Yep.
So that's important. And then the last kind of set I wanted to go through are two by Netronic software, which are visual scheduler solutions.
Yep.
So if you do production scheduling or job scheduling, and this allows you to actually, within an embedded Gantt chart, display a visual schedule, and including drag and drop functionality to move stuff around.
And they were pretty big in the NAV community as well with their visual scheduling.
Well-known partner. Okay. And then in July, this was actually released on August 1st here. So for July, there were 21 new apps that were published to AppSource for Business Central. And again, just to highlight a couple of them, one of them, again, an e-commerce connector. This is one that does for Magento, WooCommerce, Shopify, and Amazon.
Wow.
So it's
a couple more than the other one.
And then another one, which is by Plumline Consulting, a big SL partner, Microsoft Dynamics SL History Smart Lists. So, there are a lot of businesses that are running SL that are considering or moving to Business Central.
Yeah.
So this is kind of, I'm sure we'll see more of these as more of these SL customers move over to Business Central. We'll see that they liked some of those features that they had.
Yeah.
And we'll probably see more of those getting moved over.
Makes complete sense.
Yep. And then the last one here I just want to highlight is just advanced dimension management. So within Business Central, we use dimensions to do financial reporting, breaking down, slicing and dicing our financial data. So this app speeds up dimension setup for new entities and auto-populates dimension values.
Something that you think would be of value?
I think so. Occasionally we get asked about auto-populating dimensions on various records.
Yeah.
So there is functionality embedded that does that, but sometimes there are some advanced scenarios maybe that can help with. So it's something I might keep my eye on or even go check out to
try it out
to see what it does. I think for all these apps too, there are videos and documentation that are linked right on the app page. So hopefully I hope that there's a good video,
maybe even
for
a
the
free
app,
trial,
and where I can just watch a video, see what it does to learn a little bit more about it. Maybe I don't even end up having to install the app.
just because you'll know by the video.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
sorry,
that's my shot. Now,
all right. So keeping in with the shot in Business Central, over the past couple of weeks, we've kind of got this thing where it's a Stump Ken type of a thing, and I got a question for him, and he might know the answer, he might not, but that's the fun of it, right?
You need to come up with some new theme music for this segment.
I will. So this week, the Stump question is it possible to edit the description on a posted transaction in Business Central?
Description, so are you talking about like a posted invoice line?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would tell you that historically, in the NAV and Business Central world, you could not.
Okay.
So that would have had to be a customization or an extension if you wanted to add functionality that allowed users to update descriptions. Really, any field,
Right.
with a few exceptions, on a posted document
Okay.
or ledger entry.
Okay. So,
But my
you
guess
going
is
yes or no?
my guess is
You're kind of in the middle here.
based on my question. My guess is that yes, you can.
You got it. You can. Now you can. Business Central even creates a change log entry for this too. So
Wow.
you got it this week.
All right.
So that about wraps it up then for the Shot of Business Central. Or you got more or what?
That does. I think that's enough news and notes for today. And then next month, we'll hopefully, when we talk about this, we're going to hopefully have some more updates on the early access availability and
maybe
how to
even be able to try out some of the features.
Right. Check that out in the sandbox.
So segment 3 for us is we're going to be talking about Business Central and the built-in CRM capabilities that Business Central has, which not a lot of people know about. Ken, I know you like to talk more about this than more about it than I do. So
yeah, we've been selling Microsoft Dynamics NAV and now Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. And one of the most common things that we run into all the time is that people tell us, well, I'm looking for an ERP solution. And then as we get into it, we hear or learn that they're also looking at purchasing or using a CRM system. And so, because what not many ERP solutions have a built-in CRM solution within it.
They're strictly ERP.
Business Central does.
Which is one of the things that separates it from others.
It is a differentiator. So, for example, we would say, well, in terms of CRM, there are kind of 3 areas that people are talking about. One is Salesforce management, meaning managing your salespeople's activities, their opportunities, and their tasks and appointments. Right. The second thing is marketing, and then the third piece would be customer service, and that could be multiple different things. And where I would say that the built-in Business Central solution is very suitable for the Salesforce management piece and the customer service piece.
Really?
With an exception, which we'll talk about.
Okay.
And I'm going to go through here. I'll explain, list off here what features are included. But what we have found is that many times, especially in a small to mid-sized company, the CRM functionality that a business is looking for is fully available within Business Central.
Wow. That's
right?
key. Because a lot of companies, they buy CRM just thinking they need CRM, and it comes with all these features that they'll never use.
Right.
And basically they're kind of wasting money.
And they also will get oohed and awed based on these advanced features and capabilities that they may never use or get to, right? But what it really boils down to, and what we find most people using, are the following features, which are, again, standard with the Essentials pack within Business Central, Essentials user. Yeah. The first is contact management. So the ability to set up contact records for all your customers or vendors or prospects. Okay. And people, individual persons that are associated with those companies. Right? And you can store email addresses, cell phone numbers, comments, profiles. So you can profile your contacts, and again, company or person. And those could be manual profiles, where maybe you want to track the size of the company, the type of the company, the industry, or other facts about it. And users pick from a checklist where they check off an answer. Oh. Or there are automated profiles. Examples of these would be if you want to segment your customer into your top 25% most profitable customers, next 25% most profitable customers, and so on. Or top 10% sales, second 10% sales, and so on. And there are automated processes that periodically you run, and it auto segments your customers for you. You can also assign contacts to different mailing groups or industry codes. You can also record interactions with those contacts. So if you called someone or you emailed someone, you can go in and create an interaction to record that you had a touch point with that contact.
Nice, good to know.
Okay. And then lastly, you can also associate to-dos with contacts. So if you want to set up for yourself a reminder that you need to call Joe at ABC Company on Friday, you can go in and set up a to-do for yourself, or you could set that up for someone else.
So task management, basically.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, within there. All right, so that's the number one area we see people in Business Central using. The second piece, which some customers use, but I would say the vast majority probably don't get even this far, is opportunity management. The ability to build an opportunity for a new sale, track the various stages of that opportunity using a stage or cycle code, that ultimately allows you to build that visual pipeline report on your dashboard. So there's a salesperson role center that displays a filtered pipeline that shows how many opportunities and at what dollar value do I have at each stage of my funnel.
Very nice.
Okay. And along with those opportunities, you can associate a sales quote with the opportunity. Again, you can record interactions or to-dos also with those opportunities. Right. And ultimately, you track a won or lost and a reason code for those. Okay. In terms of marketing, this is probably the biggest differentiator between the marketing. There is the ability to set up marketing campaigns,
right.
And what you can do is create segments where you add your contacts into these segments to target them for these campaigns. And you can target them based on any of that information I mentioned.
Right.
So their profiles, you could say any distributor type customer who's purchased any item in this category in the last 2 years, let's pull them into this campaign segment.
Which is really good for marketing.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I have this list of contacts that I've used Business Central to give me. The big differentiator now between Business Central and maybe some other CRM solutions is, what do I do with that list? Within Business Central, I can create a single event to target those customers, and then maybe create a follow-up. But some other, you may want a complex campaign targeting solution, right?
To nurture them along. Yeah.
Yeah, where exactly. You run through a series of touch points with them. That's where it's probably more limited.
Okay.
Within Business Central.
So this is basically just creating targeted emails.
Right.
Or sending emails to a targeted group.
Right. Or even just creating that list, so you can actually build that list of contacts to say, of all my contacts, prospects, customers, who meets this specific criteria.
Yeah.
And then use that. You export a list to Excel, and then you can use that for other purposes.
Within other email automation services. Correct.
Yep. So that is available. And then also, lastly, when we talk about customer service, this is probably the second biggest point where we see the fact that this CRM solution is built into Business Central means that all of my sales quotes and orders and returns and payment history is all there. It allows me to answer all of those types of questions, such as, what has this customer been buying from me lately? Have they been returning any items, and why? The status of open sales orders or expected delivery dates against those orders, account balance, average days to pay, payment history or credit limit status, notes or notifications on this customer's account, custom prices or contract prices that you may have in place for this customer, and then even doing a quote. And what's key is when you put together a quote for that customer, you're using all of Business Central's built-in pricing logic to create that quote.
Oh, nice.
So when that quote becomes an order, you hit that button, everything is done. You hit one button to make that quote in order,
and it automatically
and it copies all that forward, and you know that you have all that accurate information stored within the system.
Excuse me. So if let's just pick an industry here. Let's just say manufacturing. Would you say that the built-in CRM would work for most manufacturing companies, or what? Because I can't see manufacturing having too detailed of
Yeah. I would say that it really depends more on the size and requirements of that company, regardless of if they're a distributor, manufacturer, service organization, whatever they might be. It's what are they looking to accomplish?
Right.
And what, again, I hate to paint with such a broad brush, but in most small to mid-sized businesses, they currently don't even have some of this basic functionality in place. A centralized database to store all their contact information,
and they're using Excel
and segment those customers, and then report on all those different types of pieces of information. So it's like, it's very tempting to look at some of these advanced CRM solutions out there, including Microsoft's Dynamics 365 for sales or marketing. It's very easy to get lured in and see some of those advanced features and think that you need that.
Right.
I need to get there.
Sort of like buying a car, right?
Yeah.
You see the best car ever. You convince yourself that you need that feature that you've never had before and never needed it before.
That's exactly
you need it
right.
Now.
Yep. But you really just need four wheels to get to work every day.
Exactly.
Right. And so, the built-in, because it's built in, it's free. It's included with the licenses.
Yeah.
Right. It's fully integrated, and where we've seen a ton of adoption with it lately is because of the fact that there is the app. You have the Business Central app, which means I have full capabilities of running reports and updating data on my phone or my tablet. That means that your salespeople who are anywhere, including customer sites or working from home or remotely or wherever, they have access to the same system you do.
Right.
With all of the capabilities, built in.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about integrations. You don't have to get separate licensing, right?
And this can all be controlled too through permissions and
absolutely limiting what information. So
what's your role and whatnot.
Yeah. So Sue, the salesperson, she cannot access financial information or purchasing information. Let's say, as an example.
Perfect.
So. Yeah, so we have and I just want to kind of wrap up this segment, which is kind of a little example here, a little case study, and we've done multiple of these now, where we have implemented Business Central, and in the process we have converted customers from a separate ACT system,
which is a CRM software,
which is separate, standalone, CRM, into Business Central's CRM. The features that I just talked about.
Nice.
So what we found is that by migrating that standalone CRM software, or even if it was integrated into Business Central, the first thing is it resulted in better organizational data for reporting and analysis purposes. Basically, one set of data that they could use for all their reporting.
Only using one software. Yep.
Right. Increased efficiency in creating quotes and pricing customers, right? Because you're doing it in Business Central and all the pricing is there. Increased quote close percentages and sales dollars.
That's interesting.
Because of the improved follow-ups. Because the quotes are in Business Central, people can look at the quotes. There's a quote expiration date on there that you can use. So people have visibility now to all these quotes that are out there. So instead of these quotes being in Excel or Word or email,
right,
and
which takes time for people to open
no one can really follow up on those, or now they're in the system and people can accurately follow up on them on a timely basis. The second thing is better accessibility for the user, and not second, but additional thing is better accessibility for the users by using the phones and tablet devices.
Mm-hmm.
So
they
don't need to go through a VPN, and it's not really that difficult. If I'm working from remotely, I have my laptop. It's not really that hard to connect to the VPN and then open the software and go in.
It's just another step, though.
But it is a deterrent.
Yeah.
So for me to be, in my car or wherever I am and pull it up on my phone and have it at my fingertips, that does make a big difference in user adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's also one less thing to go wrong.
And in CRM, user adoption is the number one hurdle.
Oh, really?
Seems, is getting people to use it.
So you think it's a training issue or just?
Not training, but just
something new that they're not used
just
to.
making it easy.
Yeah.
It has to be simple. It has to be easy.
It has to work.
And it has to work, right. Additional benefits was eliminated duplicate data setup, right?
That's big.
So you get a prospect, you add them into the ACT database, update that information there. Now they place their first order with you. Someone in accounting now has to go in and they have to re-enter all that information into the accounting system. Right?
Twice as much time.
Reduce data inconsistencies because of data existing in two places.
Mm-hmm.
Customer calls and says, "Hey, we have a new contact here. Can you update the phone number and email address?"
Right.
Well, now instead of having to do it in two systems, you only have to do it in one. And then also no data integration tasks to manage. So a lot of times when you have a separate CRM and ERP systems, you may have some data integration process that runs that syncs your data back and forth.
Yep.
And that's just one more thing that you have to manage.
Yeah, connectivity issues, right? You only have to worry about one software instead of the other. If the other one's down and yours isn't, there's an issue.
Yep. Yeah, and this is kind of in our wheelhouse. This example, it was an ACT database that had been in use for over 10 years by approximately 12 to 15 users.
Mm-hmm.
So
pretty normal.
That is like a typical type implementation that we do in terms of the CRM. And again, will this solution be the best for everyone? Maybe not, depending on what are you specifically looking to do.
Of
but
course, yeah.
You must evaluate it and determine what can you use within there.
Yeah.
And then where do you need to add something in addition?
And it's also a great starting point, right? For somebody who, you've been in business for a while and you're trying to get more active in sales and marketing or whatnot, instead of going out and purchasing that very expensive CRM software or whatnot, start here, try it out, see if it works for you, talk to your partner,
right?
Go from there.
And we always, we have a kind of our CRM module implementation methodology that we use, which, amongst, a lot of other details, at its core, it's let's start slow and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Start easy. Let's make it.
Right.
Let's not overwhelm people.
Because that's when they quit.
Right. If it's too much, if it's taking too much time, they're not going to do it. So you have to start slow and have a plan in place for how you're going to roll out these different features.
Right. Need a process. That's key. Definitely. So CRM, very good.
Check it out. It's free.
So we're here for our last segment, which is the app segment. And we're going to talk about payroll solutions because, payroll is pretty popular in the business world. Everybody wants to get paid. We've got, 5 or 6 apps that we want to cover? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. So, one of the things, that is a reality is that many small and mid-sized businesses, they outsource payroll.
Mm-hmm.
There's liability associated with making sure that you're paying your employees correctly, you're withholding the right amounts,
right,
and you're doing your year-end tax filing accurately. So for those reasons, many people outsource payroll, but there are still companies that want to manage payroll in-house.
Yep.
And so Microsoft Business Central does not include a payroll module. Right.
Just because of probably for liability or maybe difficult to know
to keep up with the rules and regulations and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So it's a perfect opportunity to utilize an app, right? And so there are multiple out there, and the first one that I want to go through, I'll talk about here a little bit, is one called Primo Payday. So this is a built-in payroll solution where you can run payroll within your Dynamics 365 Business Central solutions. So it includes automated updates, setup wizards, batch payroll processing, direct deposit. It also manages labor costing, job costing for you, and has some employee benefits tracking as well for it. So it's looks like a pretty comprehensive payroll solution that is fully built in within Business Central.
Yeah, so I went through, installed it in Business Central. It should take anybody anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, depending on whether or not you have the information you need readily available. It was easy to install. A couple things that I like: GL entries post automatically. You're able to leverage dimensions to allocate employee costs and improve your financial analytics. Yeah, it's, like I said, pretty simple. There's a free trial available for anybody who wants to try it. And out of the payrolls, this is one of my favorite out of the payroll apps.
Did you look at any others?
I did. So I also looked at, let's go with Payroll Now. Payroll Now is also fully integrated, which has a free trial. Same as before, it runs through the setup wizard, which you can be found in Business Central. It's just as quick as the last app we looked at, about 10 to 20 minutes. What I really liked about this one, though, is there is a fully payroll menu page that seems to be built in, or is integrated within Business Central. And this page is laid out beautifully, and it makes the navigation as easy as can be. But some of the features: complete payroll processing, HR onboarding, ACA compliance and reporting, and also federal and state tax filing.
Cool.
What'd you think of it?
Well, I didn't look at that one, so I'm going to take your word for it on there. But I did kind of look up some of the details of a couple of these other ones. So Ceridian Payroll, which is actually an app that's published by Microsoft. This is actually not a built-in app where you're managing payroll within Business Central, but it is an integration to Ceridian Payroll, right? So you're kind of outsourcing all your payroll with them, but you're able to feed data and integrate data with Business Central. So that is a different type of solution.
Ceridian's fairly popular too.
Yeah, and then there's a similar solution for ADP, I believe, also. So again, the Ceridian and ADP are kind of, you're still using their services, but you're able to integrate them.
The one thing I liked about ADP that I saw, it actually has a option to connect to Microsoft Flow to send you email alerts for certain things. For example, you could set up Microsoft Flow with ADP Workforce to get an alert for an employee that's met their sales target for like 12 consecutive months, letting you know that maybe their compensation should be reviewed for a pay increase or whatnot. So I really like that about the ADP payroll app.
Yep. Did you look at any others?
Yeah, so I looked at, I want to go over Dialog Pay Focus just real fast, just because I was unable to install this extension. I tried 5 or 6 times and couldn't get to it. And then I also checked out Green Shades Payroll, which it wasn't a free trial available, and I'm pretty much assuming that's because it's not completely integrated with Business Central, so you'd have to contact them. But judging by the pictures and what I saw, the software looks, pretty clean and clear and simple to use.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's it. The only other one I saw out there was a Canadian Payroll by InsightWorks, but as the name of the app suggests, it's for Canadian companies.
Right.
So if you are a Canadian company, that is a viable solution for you. But if you're in the United States or elsewhere, not something you probably want to consider.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think you have, it's pretty cool. There are a lot of options, multiple options out there.
Yeah.
And you can check it out. You can look at the videos, the online documentation, even do free trials.
Yep.
And also compare price points, obviously, right?
Yeah. That's
because all of these are subscription-based apps.
Yeah.
So that obviously is a factor as well.
So to finish out this month's shot of Business Central and a beer, we opened up a couple other beers. I'll start first. I opened up a Two Brothers beer called Wobble. It's pretty good. It's, like you said, it's more in line with Zombie Dust and whatnot. A little bit different than my peach wheat beer that I just had. It's very good. Very good. I'm going to give it, as a rating, I'm going to give it a solid 86 for me. So Wobble is, let's see, it's golden in color. It's got subtle malt character. Packs big, complex citrus and piney hop notes. And the pairings, which I thought were interesting, were strong cheeses. I get curry and caramel apple tart. I don't get the caramel apple tart and the curry, but the strong cheeses, for sure. But I pop it open on a hot Hot day, yes, I would. Now, if it were a hot day to where I was doing something, working outside, cutting grass or whatnot, probably not after that. I'd probably go with something more light like the Old Fallon Wheat or, Modelo Corona, something like that. But it's definitely pretty good. Which one did you pop open there, Ken?
I went with the Breckenridge Brewery Oatmeal Stout.
Oh.
And similar to you, going from a peach beer to an IPA,
Yeah.
I went from this wheat ale to an oatmeal stout, which was a pretty big jump.
Hit all the taste buds.
So it's it's always interesting when you switch that, take that first taste.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very very good. It's very smooth, and I kind of have always been like a stout beer snob.
Oh.
Meaning, I started drinking Guinness. Probably was the stout most people probably start drinking, and then you go and you try other stouts, and ultimately you can't help but kind of compare that to a Guinness, right?
Because the first one you tried.
Yeah, and that's like the benchmark.
Yeah.
Is this stronger than Guinness? Is it more coffee flavor than Guinness? Is it how does that compare? And I would say that this Breckenridge Oatmeal Stout is somewhat similar to a Guinness.
Oh yeah.
So it has that. It's smooth. It's got that kind of.
Do you get like the oatmeal
coffee
flavor?
Kind of aroma? Oatmeal, that creaminess to it.
Do you get an oatmeal taste to it, or?
No, not a oatmeal, but more of like that kind of coffee aroma.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
On there.
Coffee malt.
So chocolatey kind of almost flavor, kind of smell to it. But it is pretty good. It's pretty close in terms of a traditional stout. Whereas other stouts are, they try to be bold, or they try to, knock your socks off. This is a pretty average one. And as we were talking, common misperception is that stouts are super high in calories and heavy.
Which is what I thought.
But this oatmeal stout here, it's 148 calories per bottle, which even compared to your Wobble is, what was that, 189?
Yeah, 189. So
for an IPA.
Which is
so I
not
think
what I would have guessed.
And most beers are probably 150 to 200 for a regular beer.
And this is by what? Breckenridge Brewery, right?
Yep.
So Breckenridge Brewery, I don't know if you have anything on them, but I got some stuff on them.
No.
So they were founded in 1990 in the mountain town of Breckenridge, Colorado. So it's the third oldest craft brewery in the state, and they've actually been growing really fast. They established their second brew pub in Denver in 1992, and then moved to a bigger facility again in 1996. So they're growing really fast. Yeah.
Well, maybe you have to look for more.
Yeah, they've got a lot of different beers out there. But so that's our second beer, and we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Just like last time, let us know what you like and what you didn't like, or what you want to see from us going forward. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. It lets us know that we're doing a good job, and we kind of get to track, our listenership. Anything you want to add there, sir?
No, let's just do a cheers, a toast
You got it.
to good beer and Business Central.
That's right, Business Central.